Hello, welcome back. On the third video of the videos that we're gonna do on on radical expressions, excuse me, this is the third video for this is learning target 10.3. I can solve radical expressions, and if you didn't see the first two videos, I suggest that you go back and watch them because they might help you get a better understanding of radical expressions as a whole. But if you did watch them already, then let's get started. Let's start with the first one. The first one says 8 plus the square root of x equals 15. Now to solve this problem, we're going to solve it by subtracting 8 from both sides. One side, other side. Because whatever you do to one side, you always have to do it to the other side. Then, that's going to give us the square root of x equals 7. Now, we could still take it farther than that. So now we're going to, everything in math has its opposite. Plus has minus, multiplication has division, and square root has squaring something. So to get rid of a square root, you simply square it, and you'll get rid of the square root altogether. So we have this, and we're going to square it, and that's going to give us x equals 49. And when we input that, that will give us 8 plus the square root of 49, because we're putting 49 into x, equals 15. Now, what's the square root of 49? Well, if you do the math, 7 times 7 equals 49. It's a perfect square. 7 is, in fact, it's the square root of 49. So what's 8 plus 7? 8 plus 7 equals 15. So this one is, in fact, true. So that one's good. Now, let's move on. Let's do this one over here, right here. This one says the square root of 3x plus 1 minus 2 equals 6. Now, you're probably looking at this and saying, where do we start? Well, first, let's start by plussing 2 to both sides. Let's plus the 2 to get rid of this negative 2, plus the 2, which will give you 3x. So the square root of 3x plus 1 equals 8. Now, we're not done there, because we have to solve it. We have to see what x equals. So now, like I said, the opposite of the square root is squaring. So we're going to square both sides, giving us 3x plus 1 equals 64. So now we have this equation right here, but now that's still not solved. So let's subtract 1 from both sides, which will give us 3x equals 63. Then when you divide both sides by 3, you'll get x equals 21. Now, let's input that, then let's see if it's true. 3 times 21 plus 1 equals 64. Minus 2 equals 6. So, the square root of 64 is 8. So, 8 minus 2 does in fact equal 6. 6 equals 6. So, this is in fact a true equation. And that turns out to be x does equal 21. Now this one, it's interesting, this equation right here, because when I solved it, I saw that it has the same answer as this one, but it's the different equation. So let's see how this works. We have the square root of x minus 2 equals 5. So when we plus 2 to both sides, that's going to give us the square root of x equals 7. Now, to get rid of that square root, we just square it, giving us x equals 49. When you input that into here, 49, what's the square root of 49? Square root of 49 is 7. 7 minus 2 does in fact equal 5. So that is a true equation, too. That 49 is the answer. And it's funny because they both have the same answer, but they're two separate equations. But when you input 49 for x into both of them, they both work. So now let's try this one, this last one. This last one may look the hardest, but it's not actually that hard when you think about it. You have the square root of 9x squared plus 4 equals 3x plus 2. Now when you square both sides, you're getting rid of the square root. So let us square both sides, and that's going to give us 9x squared plus 4 equals 9x squared plus 12x plus 4. Now, don't forget, when we're squaring it, we're not squaring each term individually. We're squaring it all as a whole. If we were to square each one individually, then we would get a totally different answer. But now we're squaring this as a whole and this as a whole, which is giving us 9x squared plus 4, and then so on. But with this, when you square it, don't forget that the numbers don't change inside the square root. They stay the same. The numbers on the other side that aren't under the square root, they are different. So we have 9x squared plus 4 equals 9x squared plus 12x plus 4. So here we're just going to simply minus 9x squared from both sides, basically canceling both of them out. And then we're going to subtract 4 from both sides, basically canceling those out. And then that's going to leave us with 0 on this side. And then that's going to leave us with 0 equals whatever's left, and whatever's left is 12x. So 0 equals 12x. And then you divide both sides by 12, giving you 0 equals x. And then when you input 0 into this equation, it comes out to be true. And that proves that 0 is your answer to this equation. That's what x equals. So I think that sums up the whole lesson on radical expressions. We went over how to simplify, how to add, subtract, and multiply, and now this one's how to solve. And I hope that you learned more about how to understand radical expressions by watching this video. And be sure to check out the other two videos if you really didn't understand this one. And thank you for watching.